Hope everybody can see. Is it recording? Thumbs up, anyone can see. Can't tell.
Yeah, it's recording.
Okay, great. So I am Catherine Awasti. I am the president of the Student Animal Legal Defense Fund here at FSU Law. And we are going to have a great panel of speakers today. I'm going to hand it over first to Brooke. She is president of Sustainable Law Society, and she's going to take it from here. Hey, Brooke.
Hi, guys. I'm Brooke. I'm the president of Sustainable Law Society. And just quickly a little bit about SLS. So we're an organization that focuses on giving both students and faculty knowledge and tips on how they can live more sustainably on campus and off campus as well. And we always have some really great speakers lined up. We host events such as like on-campus cleanups. In the past, we've done secondhand clothing swaps, which are really cool. And this year we have a lot of really great socially distanced / Zoom events planned for the year. So make sure that I'll page, which I leave in the chat, and I'll also put like my email address and all that in the chat if you have any questions about getting involved or joining. And Kat, do you want me to introduce the speakers right now? Okay.
Yeah, you're
so quickly, during my time at FSU Law, I'm a 3L now, so I've interned with both FWC and FDAX, and I've been lucky enough to work with both speakers that we have. So I know Anthony and Alan pretty well, and I would highly recommend both experiences. I've learned so much in areas like environmental law, land use law, administrative law, and contract law, a bunch of different fields, which is a really great part about working with the state agency. There's so many different areas that you can get involved in, and as a law student, it's a really great opportunity to kind of figure out what kind of areas of law you like practicing and what you're good at. So yeah, I have nothing but really good things to say about my time at both internships and about Anthony and Alan. They're both great. So I will hand it off to Anthony from FWC first to talk a little bit about FWC.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well today, and thank you for that introduction, Brooke. So yeah, I was just going to tell you guys a little bit about what it's like to work at FWC. I believe there'll probably be some other folks talking about what it's like to work at these other places, and of course we'll be open to some questions. Should anyone have any, just on the edge of their seat, can't wait to get an answer to stuff, we'll do what we can to help answer those. But at FWC, we're a constitutional agency, which is a little different than a lot of the other agencies that are statutory based. So we get our authority from the Constitution. So while we play nice and work with the governor's office and other agencies, we have a little bit of autonomy that others may not have. So it's a unique process. There's very few constitutional agencies in the state. But we cover things, regulate things ranging from marine fisheries, freshwater fisheries, hunting game management, law enforcement, including boating and waterways, habitat and species. We have a research institute. So we have all these different pieces of our agency that all work together, and ultimately our legal office is one of it's 9 attorneys, and we actually have an opening right now. So there's only 8 attorneys there, so we're a small office. So as Brooke had mentioned, shameless plug here for us, if anyone's interested in semester-long internships or externships, talk with your extern coordinator, internships, volunteering essentially for us. I'll give Catherine and Brooke my contact information, and then another one of our attorneys when we're done today, should anyone have any questions and want to reach out to us about any possible future work. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's a great place to work. I highly recommend, if you have any interest in environmental law, to try to get some experience during your summers or during your regular school semesters with someone like DEP, DAX, FWC, maybe a federal agency, or a TNC, and Earth Justice. Just kind of get out there and get experience. Because I'll tell you, I myself was an extern with FWC back when I was in law school, and it ended up actually being the path to me getting a job. So it doesn't always work out that way, but it really can help, and cannot reiterate enough the hands-on experience that you get working with the folks out there that provide these opportunities for you really do help a lot. And I don't want to take too much time in case there's other questions and stuff, so I'll go ahead and pass it on.
Thanks, Anthony. Okay, so now we will have Alan from Department of Agriculture. So go ahead, Alan.
Hey, everybody. This is Alan Charles. I'll echo what Anthony said. The department is also a constitutional agency. So anybody who saw my screen, I was smiling when he said that, kind of laughing when he mentioned that we had autonomy, because we tend to use it quite frequently right now and butt heads with the governor's office basically as much as we can. But for those of you interested in environmental law, sustainability law, agriculture is not the immediate agency I think that would come to mind, but we actually have a lot of fingers in it in Florida, at least. You know, we are in charge of the Florida Forest Service, so we're managing probably more state lands than any other agency. We enroll agricultural producers in our best management practices. We're in charge of all the aquaculture producers, so all the different oyster farms and fish farms you see across the state. That's us. We regulate all the import and export of animals and plants to make sure that, you know, we're not getting invasive species into Florida, but also that we're not letting animal and plant diseases into our horticultural operations. So we have a lot to do that's both kind of natural resource protection, but also, you know, well within the kind of environmental law protection that we do. Trying to think what else that might be interested in to you guys. We're also in charge of the Office of Energy, so that's another statutory office that participates in all the FECA proceedings and a lot of the electricity utility regulation that goes on in the state. So anybody who's taking energy law and is interested in that, we have a place in that as well. As far as internships with us, we usually post them, you know, each semester, and they're paid internships. With COVID, we've been a little bit conservative, and we haven't been able to onboard any new interns. So I'm fighting wet knuckled to keep Brooke and Kellyanne on as long as I can, but hopefully we'll be able to bring in new people soon. And usually we have 1 to 3 openings per semester. So I continue to reach out to me if you guys are interested. I'm happy to save your resumes to that day when I can actually bring people in. But I think just to add one last thing, you know, for a lot of people, environmental law is kind of this cool, really sexy term, and everybody thinks of the earth justices and the you know, environmental legal defense funds and all those kind of big national law organizations that do it. But so much of what happens nationwide is done at the local level and state level, and administrative law is how the world works in environmental law and regulation. And regardless of whether or not you want to work for a state agency or in the future, knowing the nuts and bolts of administrative law is something that I would highly encourage you all to learn.
Thanks, Alan. I'm going to let Kellyanne talk just a little bit about her experience as well. I know she, like you mentioned, was an intern this summer, or is still an intern. So Kellyanne, what are your thoughts about this intern program?
I could not recommend it more. I'm glad that you invited me to the call just so that I can echo what everyone else is saying, and just really express how much I've enjoyed this job and how much I would encourage everyone to try to work at a government agency at some point, especially if you're interested in animal law, land use law, environmental law, water policy, and even working at agriculture at the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. I have really gotten to see how much the department does relating to consumer services and how we interact with all other agencies in the state to address issues across the state. And it's just been really incredibly rewarding to learn about the administrative process and to learn about how our government is structured, as well as the actual statutes that we enforce, and just all the issues that we're able to deal with. So that is why I've particularly loved working in a state agency. I also worked at DEP before and had a great experience there. So feel free to reach out to me and I'll answer questions whenever I can.
Thank you, Kellyanne. Can you drop your email in the chat box too? Okay, I'm gonna hand it over here to Macy, the president of the Environmental Law Society, and she'll hand it over to FEP. You're on mute, girlfriend.
Hello again, everybody. My name is Macy. I'm the president of the Environmental Law Society. ELS is a student organization for anyone interested in environmental law. ELS provides a forum to address key environmental issues on local, state, and federal levels, as well as functioning as a group available to participate in local environmental cleanups and fundraisers. ELS provides its members with opportunities to travel in national environmental law conferences and to make contact with state and local environmental employers through pro bono and internship opportunities. Please follow us on Facebook at FSU Environmental Law Society. We are currently now holding elections for ELS 1L reps. As 1L rep, you'll be responsible for 1L recruitment and communications, creating posters, and fingers crossed, organizing our annual spring camping trip, COVID depending. Please feel free to email me or message us on Facebook if you have any questions. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Greg West and Molly Garrett from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection.
I saw Greg. Greg, are you here? So many names.
I do not see Greg or Molly.
Okay, hopefully they'll get back on. If you can reach out to them, Macy, and let them know if they can hop back on. Because I saw them here earlier. Okay, I will go ahead and introduce myself then. Like I said, I'm president of Animal Legal Defense Fund here, the student organization at FSU. And we essentially promote, have speakers and do events that promote animal welfare. And we are essentially, hopefully going to have a few off-campus events that we're going to get permission for, dog park socials, things where we can socially distance, and partner with Sustainable Law Society and Environmental Law Society to do cleanup as well. And also this, I think tomorrow or Thursday, look on our social media page, we have an virtual elephant sanctuary visit. So if you can take part in that, there's a link on Zoom. We are also looking for 1L reps, and I will post that information on Facebook as well. But for now, I am going to hand it over to Greg Morton. Greg, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you are here for today?
Hello, yes, I'm Greg Morton. It's interesting to hear from some of the folks that are with different administrative agencies. I myself am with the Public Employees Relations Commission that does labor and employment law. That's not what I'm here to talk about, though. I'm here to talk about animal law. I'm a past chair of the animal law section and have been involved in the animal law section for a number of years. Ralph DeMayo is also on the call, and he's a past chair, as well as Lauren Brooks, who's a member. And I was just going to talk a little bit about animal law before I talk about some of the opportunities we have. I think that's the question that a lot of people ask when you say what's animal law. It's very broad, and it consists of any legal matters involving non-human animals. So that covers everything from our companion animals, dogs and cats, wildlife like FWC would cover, animals used in entertainment, greyhound racing, circuses, things like that, and then animals with less protections under the law, such as animals used in research and animals used for food. Animal law also touches on almost all the traditional fields of law, so even if you're interested in, say, administrative law or environmental law or criminal law, property, family, there is a component of animal law within each of those traditional fields of law. I think that it's something we've compared it to being as akin to what environmental law was back in the early 1970s. Back then, no one had heard of environmental law. It was a developing field. Animal law is that way in a lot of ways too, but since I've been involved in it, and I went to law school back in early 2000s, and I was in the second ever animal law class at my college. But now there's over 165 schools around the country that have animal law courses and classes, including places like Harvard and Stanford. So there's two different things that I want to talk about: animal law section and pets ad litem, and the opportunities for law students that we have through both organizations. Publications, I think, is one of the main things that I wanted to talk about, and particularly because Catherine knows this firsthand. One of the ways to set yourself apart from others in law school is to get published in bar journals and law reviews, things like that. We have the opportunity to do that. Catherine has an article with Ralph in the latest bar journal on coral reefs. We've also published a number of FSU law students' works in our newsletter over the years, and some of those have led to some pretty exciting things where on at least one occasion I know that we did something on key deer down in the Florida Keys, and the author, who was a law student at the time, was contacted by a congressperson, and she ended up being involved in implementing some of the protections that involved in key deer. We also, through FSU, sponsor a writing competition for students. We're judging the current folks right now, and there's you have until next July to submit, but it's a $1,000 award for folks that win the writing competition. And I know that $1,000 would have helped me quite a bit in law school if you're anything like me. And I'd say probably the best thing is the opportunity to work with practicing attorneys. Anthony talked about getting his job through his internship. Every job I've ever gotten has not been through coldly sending my resume out to folks. It's people that I know and get the opportunity to work with. So the more attorneys that you know through the section, the better. Right now we have free membership in the animal law section. I'll put my contact information in the chat here in a minute if you're interested in joining. I also can't let the time pass without making a plug for the administrative law section. A few people have said that they're interested in that. I'm also involved in that section, and that's a great way to meet people if you think that might be something you want to do. We are, through Pets Ad Litem, approved to do your pro bono hours. And so you could work with Pets Ad Litem, and some of that work is on behalf of the section, working on cases and legislation. I won't steal Ralph's thunder and Lauren's thunder because they were intimately involved in the Greyhound Amendment to the Constitution, and that is a case that went all the way up to the Supreme Court. But every year, the animal law section supports a certain number of bills that go through the legislature, and we give students the opportunity to work on some of those matters. One of the ones that we're looking to next year is one that was based out of law in Connecticut called Human Law, which allows students, even law students, to kind of act like guardian ad litem for animals in certain criminal cases and family law cases. Other than that, I've probably used up more than the time that you were going to give me, so I'll shut up now. But unless Ralph or Lauren wanted to chime in, I'll go ahead and add my email to the chat.
Yeah, I would love, I know Lauren has a great story about working with FSU students and doing something great about getting the Greyhound initiative on the ballot. If Lauren wants to just kind of mention how that worked.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. Hey, everybody. I'm Lauren Brooks. I work at the law firm of Baker Donaldson. I'm an attorney here in town. Yeah, I came and spoke with y'all, goodness, several months ago now. Seems like forever ago. It was, pre-pandemic, about writing, my experience in writing an amicus brief. And so Ralph and Greg and I were involved in essentially amending the Florida Constitution, and that there was a proposed amendment, Amendment 13, which would ban greyhound racing back in the last election cycle. And the proposed amendment was challenged, and so the animal law section of the Florida Bar, as well as the Animal Legal Defense Fund, wrote a joint amicus brief in support of the Amendment 13 being put on the ballot, so that voters could vote and decide whether or not they wanted to ban greyhound racing in the state of Florida. And we started out in the trial court, working with the Attorney General and Deputy Attorney General, and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and we were successful and got the amendment put on the ballot. Well, it was going to be on the ballot, but then it was challenged. So we were successful in defeating that challenge, along with the Solicitor General's office. And then the issue went to vote, and the majority of Floridians voted to ban greyhound racing. So it was a great success.
Great, wonderful. I'm gonna let Cameron Polinsky jump in and talk about his experience working with FDEP, just because we lost our FDEP folks. So Cameron, if you want to spend a couple minutes, and then we'll take questions.
Hey, hi everyone. My name is Cameron Polumsky, and I'm the Vice President of the Environmental Law Society and the Vice President of the Sustainable Law Society. I'm a 2L now, and this past summer, I interned with the Florida DEP, which is the Department of Environmental Protection, in the Office of the General Counsel. So I did a variety of tasks for a variety of lawyers who are all in different sections. And I really enjoyed the diversity of projects that I was assigned to, because my direct boss, Molly, who unfortunately couldn't make it to this meeting today, she was part of the State Lands Division, so I did a lot of work with state lands, acquiring lands for conservation. I was also assigned projects within waste, water, air, wetlands. It was a great way to have a variety of different projects, and then sort of, be able to focus at the end of the summer on what interested you the most, because environmental law is a very broad field, as everyone had said. So I would recommend looking into the internship if you can. It's available during the semester and as well as over the summer.
Great. I'm just going to jump in and say that I'm currently working with Ralph on a pro bono case that I'm in love with, and that's more or less prosecuting a breeder of sick kittens in Florida. So that is an opportunity that popped up that I'm sure many animal lovers in this group would be interested in taking on. And I've been able to do affidavits, draft a complaint, all of those great things that you're going to need to know how to do. So those are just opportunities that you can take when you join these sections of the bar. And I posted the information about the free animal bar membership for students. So that's something I took advantage of, and I had a great success with it this summer. So I'm going to open it up. We've got 7 minutes or so. Does anybody have any questions for Alan or Anthony or any of our other speakers today that they would like to ask? And also, Anthony and Alan, you can take this opportunity to jump in and add anything else that you may not have thought you could talk about earlier. Pressure.
I'll jump in while we're waiting for some more questions. One thing I didn't really get to talk about, you're hearing today about all the importance of these opportunities that, our agency and other agencies and other groups are providing. But of course, as important as all that is, there is still classwork you guys have to take. So, some classes that, I just off the top of my head would recommend, and this is playing off of some of what else we heard some of the other speakers say. Take your state administrative law, take your federal administrative law, take your constitutional laws, get a feel, if you're interested in government law, for how all these things work. Take those classes. Even if you haven't gotten a chance to take them before you go do an internship or externship. Largely, I hadn't had those classes before I did it, but it made those classes easier, and they all kind of play together and help build that knowledge base. So any legislative drafting, rulemaking type thing, any, if you're into litigation, trial practice. But if you really have a focus on what you're interested in, I really do recommend those admin, constitutionals, rulemaking type courses for sure. So I'll open it back up in case there's some questions coming in.
Wow, I thought I was going to be stressed and cutting people off the whole time in this meeting.
I can share a fun story if you want, just kind
Okay.
of life of a administrative lawyer. I think maybe it was Greg mentioned the key deer. So a couple of years ago, we had an issue with New World screwworm, which is it's a unique parasite that specifically affects the key deer. And we actually were involved in setting up roadblocks coming out of the Keys into Miami. So that was Florida Department of Ag, Division of Animal Industry, looking for hosts of the key deer parasite and stopping them. And at the time, it was an emergency response, so we had to get all of our field personnel down there, and there wasn't sufficient hotel capacity. And so I want to say that we put up maybe 20 inspectors in a VRBO or an Airbnb in Key Largo. So it was, you can imagine, it was this, it's a bunch of state agents or state employees up in this, multi-million-dollar mansion in Key Largo. That lasted about a week, and then I think they got moved to a Best Western or something. But you can imagine that was kind of the highlight of their career. But from an administrative lawyer perspective, you're always running into search and seizure issues. So even if you think you're, involved in administrative law or environmental law, there's so many kind of Fourth Amendment type issues that arise. So piggybacking on what Anthony said, you're going to use so many different things beyond administrative law and just be a sponge right now and never stop learning. To that effect, actually, I'm actually newly an FSU law student with you guys. I'm pursuing my LLM, so I'm in class with a couple of you actually in energy law and environmental law.
Wow, I didn't even notice that. Are you asynchronous?
I'm asynchronous in
Okay.
environmental law, yeah.
Okay, awesome. I am just going to jump in and do one more plug for all of these student organizations: Sustainable Law Society, Environmental Law Society, and the Student Animal Legal Defense Fund. We have values and missions that go together pretty closely. So I would recommend joining on Knoll Central, or just reach out to us if you're interested in figuring out how you want to get involved. That's how we make these great connections with these spectacular individuals who spoke with us today at agencies and different nonprofits that you can work for and in the environmental field. So again, I am going to be posting the opportunity to run for 1L reps for each section for the Animal Legal Defense Fund, in addition to other e-board positions that are available. I did it. I survived. I can tell you that it is a little bit of added stress into a 1L year just to have one more thing to do, but I promise you'll be in charge of like social media, small things. So if there's no questions at all from anyone, I am going to say thank you to everyone, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, everybody.